I'm Leah Lawrence.
And I'm her husband, Mitch Lawrence.
And you are listening to the Southern Spirits Podcast, where I regale my husband with Southern stories of the macabre, creepy, and strange.
And I drink.
So what are we drinking tonight, Mitchell?
Our beer tonight is Neon Moon. Proudly brewed and packaged for Druid City Brewing Company by Straight to Ale in Huntsville, Alabama. 4.9% alcohol by volume. Let's read the can, Leah. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, she's taking a sip. Raspberry mango German style Berliner Weiss. And that's it. I can't find anything else. We've had something from Druid City on before. They were originally from Tuscaloosa. The name was bought out by Straight to Ale, so they actually take care of everything and basically just leave the brewery being named Druid City. So it's pretty much just a tap room, as far as I can tell. But there's nothing online about their beers. Well, about this one, I should say. They have like a few flagships on their website that you can find. This is not one of them, but I think it was a seasonal. Anyway, let's get into talking about it. It's tangy, it's slightly sour, and it is outlandishly drinkable. This is so freaking good. Don't you think so?
I do. It's really good, but outlandishly drinkable.
Yeah. Well, I can't say the D word. Like,
yeah,
we haven't,
I know.
We've been trying to get rid of it for like a year and a half.
Yeah, and we're so bad about saying it.
It's so freaking good, though.
Yeah, it is excellent. You can actually taste the fruit in this one. I wouldn't, like, if it was in a blind taste test and I didn't know what the fruits were, I wouldn't be able to pinpoint raspberry and mango just because that's not where my brain goes. It tastes a little peachy to me, maybe, but it's really good. You can taste the fruit. It's not overwhelming. It's not so sour that it's off-putting. It's just a nice, mildly fruity, beer-flavored beer, and I like it.
Yeah, it is so freaking good. One of my favorites now. And the last time we had Druid City on, I was like, it's fine. You know, wasn't the best thing in the world. But this one is. This is so freaking good. 10 out of 10. If you like sours or anything like that, just trust me. Go get it. Go try it. It's so good. So good. 10 out of 10 if I didn't already say it.
Yes.
Leah loves it too, and it's really rare for Leah to like a beer, so...
I mean, I like certain beers, but to like really get into one that I would actually drink more than one, it's you know.
You could drink all of these.
I really enjoy it. It's one that I would go back for another one. Usually beers with this, if I'm drinking one of the beers, I'm going to have one of them. I would drink several of these. They're very good. Yeah.
Well, I agree. They are incredible. Our shot in the dark for the night, Tickle's Dynamite Cinnamon Moonshine, produced and bottled by Sugarlands Distilling Company, LLC in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. 35% alcohol by volume. If you would like to hear the full review, go back a few weeks to episode 135, which was called Jesus Shot Glasses. It was a good one, Leah. We love this moonshine, or I did, since I'm the one that rates them. I gave it a 10 out of 10. It's damn good. If you like, what are those things called? Not fireballs.
Red
we talked
Hots.
about it. Red Hots.
Tastes like melted Red Hots.
Right. This is your thing. Excuse me. Goodness. But go try it. If you haven't already.
Still make Red Hots anymore? It's been...
No idea.
My grandmother, my mom's mom, used to keep she was a teacher, and she'd have like little treat candy size stuff, hanging around, because she used to have like a treat bag that she'd let the good kids pick out of every week or whatever. And so she always kept little mini boxes of those Red Hots, and I fucking loved those things. But I don't know that I really have had them as an adult.
Yeah. Well, I don't know either, Leah. I don't know if they're around, but to give you an idea of how good this is, normally when we do an alcohol for the second time, I don't drink them unless they're in shot form, and this time I'm having a glass of it on ice because it's so freaking good. So it got a 10 out of 10, and I still believe that it is damn good.
Yeah, and it's really, it's a low enough ABV and sweet enough that you can drink it by itself.
Yeah.
I like to put a shot of it in any kind of like apple juice, apple cider, apple anything. It's real nice.
Yeah. Well, one of my faves. So we are done with the alcohols, Leah.
All right.
What are we going to do next?
I guess we should go directly into a sassy Southern saying.
Okay.
Because we've been snowed in and haven't been able to check the mail, so...
Yeah, that's something to talk about. I haven't left the house until today for like over a week.
Yeah, me too. We got we live in North Alabama, and we got 4 inches of snow.
Yeah.
It's been 3 years since I've seen that much snow on the ground. And even that 3 years ago, it was like a freak occurrence. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
It was bizarre how much snow we got. We sat down to play a game of Trivial Pursuit like we do. And then we played a couple rounds of cards. And then I stood up to go,
It was like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was not terribly long of us just not, whatever. I go to look out the window because I was wanting to see if it was going to rain because we'd expected like sleet. I was just looking to see if it had started raining or not. There was a good 3 inches of snow already on the ground, and I'm just sitting here going,
it was quick.
Well, shit.
It was very quick. And,
we went from absolutely nothing, just sort of rainy weirdness, to 3 inches of snow in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It was a fucking blizzard.
Yeah.
And obviously we don't have any, equipment. It never snows up here or down here, I guess, depending on where you're looking at.
Wherever you come from.
Yeah. Depending on your location. Geographically, we're in the north of Alabama, but, it just doesn't fucking snow here. So we don't, A, know how to drive on it, B, know how to get rid of it. And yeah, so we just sort of stayed here. I work from home anyway right now, so I did my work from here, but nobody could get into my office to physically add more work. I don't know. It was an absolute cluster cuss, but it's melted now for the most part. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that's left of it is, the pillars of dirty snow.
Yeah.
From the snowmen that have melted.
Yeah, Leah said that earlier. She said when you drive through neighborhoods up here, you can tell the houses that have children because they have pillars of dirty snow where snowmen used to be.
Yep.
And then you drive by and there's just like a brown 2-foot tall pillar
of ice.
And it's so gross.
Fucking weird. It is so gross because, it was only 3 inches of snow, and to get that much, like a big snowball, you get all the little leaves and the detritus that's on the bottom layer of your snow. And it's just weird, gross pillars of ice now, but whatever. It was pretty while it lasted.
And we found out that our dogs fucking love snow.
Absolutely adore snow.
Like way too excited to be out in it. Wouldn't come in. And normally you can't get them in.
Yeah. But it was fun while it lasted. Glad it's over though. Glad that we don't have to worry about driving on slick ice. That kind of thing. But yeah, so hopefully I'll be able to get to the mailbox this week. But if you've sent something in, sorry about it. We were snowed in.
Yeah, the mail wasn't running either. So
no, the mail didn't run. So I don't know that it would have happened anyway. But anyway, so let's go into a sassy Southern saying.
Please.
The saying is, well, they're meaner than a striped snake and tougher than a pine knot.
Okay, so I don't know exactly what the striped snake is supposed to be referring to. Like, it's obviously a particular type of snake that are mean. But the pine knots, y'all, if you haven't grown up around trees, trees suck, first of all. They're just in the way.
Disagree.
They're way too strong. Yeah. They're a nuisance.
I spent a year living in a place where there wasn't trees,
greatest
and it
weed.
sucked.
Say that again?
I said I spent a year living in a place where there were so few trees that I almost lost my mind.
You talking about New York?
Yeah.
Well, there are buildings, though. So there's that.
Cool. And I lived in Queens where there was actually trees, and there just were not enough.
When are we going to discuss the tree problem in this country? There's too fucking many of them.
I disagree.
They're in the way. They're causing a problem. We got to do something about it.
If you start bad-mouthing trees, we're going to fight, sir. That is a majority of the reason that I freaked out and decided I didn't want to pursue the career that I had planned for 4 years because
there any trees around?
Yeah.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Well, that and the devastating social anxiety and the fact that you can't afford shit up there, but a lot of it was the trees, not gonna lie. But no, meaner than a striped snake and tougher than a pine knot. The striped snake, and striped is how my grandma would say it, because it's not striped, it's striped or stripey. I don't know why. It's just a lot of older Southern people won't say past tense words properly. I don't know. But striped snakes are, so if you were a little kid down here, you learned about coral snakes.
Yeah.
So if yellow touches red, you're dead. And there's
if yellow
two different.
touches black, you're in the crack or something like that? What is
I don't think so.
Okay. What is it then?
You'll make it back is what we always were told. But So there's two different snakes down here. One's a coral snake that is venomous and it can kill you, and the other one, it looks like it. I don't know what that one's called, but the stripes are in a different pattern. But striped snakes down here would be like a coral snake, and that's going to kill you. So meaner than a striped snake means you're venomous and awful, and tougher than a pine knot. If you've ever done any kind of woodwork, pine wood is very, very soft, but the knots are real hard. So if you're sawing through something like that and you hit a pine knot, it can like jerk your wood over. It's just a more tough section, makes things more difficult. So it means you're mean and stubborn as shit. And that's just sort of a frustrating, irritating, awful human being. They're meaner than a striped snake, and they're tougher than a pine knot.
Okay.
Might be in reference to your own child, depending on how you've raised them.
Again, it's the tree problem. And we need to address it in this world. Trees are sons of bitches.
Well, some trees. Now, Bradford Pears, y'all, you can burn all them bitches up and I wouldn't care.
Nobody likes those fucking trees.
Oh.
Yeah, and those are actually like a weed. Like they don't die at all.
Oh, yeah, they do.
They do? Okay, well, what am I thinking of?
Probably mimosa trees.
I don't know. There's one down here that you can fucking not get rid of. Like, you can uproot it and get it out of your yard, and in a few years, you'll have another one.
Yeah, that sounds like so a mimosa tree is like an invasive species that was brought here to be an ornamental tree, and now they're fucking all over the place. But, no, Bradford Pears.
Yeah, those things fucking suck, though.
The entirety of Hartselle, on the highway, used to be completely, the entire center used to be planted with Bradford Pears when I was a kid. And finally, when I was in high school, they decided to cut them all down because they were dangerous as shit because people kept wrecking into them. But every springtime, the entirety of Hartselle smelled like someone came in a sock and left it in a corner in the heat for 3 months. Oh my God,
Leah.
It was
Could
disgusting.
you not think of a better way to put that?
Y'all.
Somebody came in a sock.
It was disgusting.
Oh.
I'm sorry. The whole place smelled bad.
Speaking of, for the last 2 weeks, there's been a saying in my head that I cannot get out.
What is
because a friend of mine told me and a couple other friends that he and his wife are going to decide to start trying to have children, right?
Yeah.
So he said that, and then he sent us a meme in our group chat that said, when someone says, my husband and I are about to start having children, what I hear is, my husband is now dropping big, huge cums in my pussy. And I laughed so hard, and I could not get it out of my head.
Ew. 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 Ew.
Leah, I can't stop saying it.
Ew.
I can't stop saying hashtag big, huge cums.
Ew.
I can't stop saying it.
I need you to censor that out like you do the D word. Ew.
Nope.
Ew.
Everybody else has to hear it.
Just ew.
Oh. It is the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard. He sent it, though. We didn't send that.
And now when people that I know start to have kids, I'm going to start thinking about that shit.
When they say, hey, we're going to have children, be like, oh, you going to start getting some big, huge cums up in there?
Which, I mean, logically, I know that's what's happening, but, I don't need it in that kind of terminology. Thank you.
Oh, Leah. I'm so happy.
Ugh.
I'm just glad I could share it with the world.
Well, I hate it, and you should feel
everyone.
bad about it.
Yeah.
Not the act of creating children, if that's what you're going for. More power to you.
Oh, no, that's pretty gross. That's something people don't tell you when you're when you're coming up and they're like, make sure it's the right one and that you love the person. They don't tell you sex is fucking gross and it smells bad and everything's sticky. Nobody tells you that.
Excuse you.
They just say, figure it out. Just make sure you love them, because what they should do, make sure you love the person, because it's about to be real gross. Everything in your house is about to stink.
Mitchell.
What? What did I do?
You're making it sound like a barnyard.
It is. Leah, that's a barnyard act if I've ever heard of one. Come on.
Oh, Lord. Can we move on?
This isn't a guilt thing either. It's like I am perfectly comfortable and secure in myself. Sex is gross and it stinks.
It's just because you're sweaty as shit.
That's not just me, Leah. And I'm not saying this about you. I'm saying in general, nobody, it's not depicted in the movies. Like we talked, okay, I put up that thing on Facebook a little while ago about how Why does nobody in a sex scene in a movie be like, hold on, and then just rip ass? Because obviously that happens with everyone. There's nothing more freeing than being completely nude and just letting one rip. There's nothing better than that. So besides that point, it is so gross, period. Anyway, are you okay over there? He's having a breakdown.
Now I'm thinking about it on a deeper level, and I don't want to be touched ever again.
Right? Isn't it so uncomfortable?
The exchange of bodily fluids just in general makes me uncomfortable, but like...
Isn't it awful? I'm so glad we brought this up. Because I've been meaning to have a conversation with you. We gotta stop. I'm so grossed out. I'm so done.
That's fine.
Everything is so gross. Oh, I'm sure it's much worse for a woman. I'm absolutely positive it is. But it's just gross, period. No matter who you are, what you're doing. It's so gross. Everything's gross about it. Anyway, that's Mitch's sex rant.
I'm uncomfortable. I don't know if I even want to keep doing this.
Y'all, I mean, let's just be honest about some things here. I'm not being weird.
You're being weird.
No, it's gross.
Well, how about I tell you a story about a cryptid to mind bleach all of that last little section of ew.
Oh, do you want to talk about how gross cryptid sex probably is?
Oh, ugh. No.
It's going to be way worse. It's going to be way worse.
Because we're talking about big old birds, and they got cloacas, and I just...
Yeah, the all-in-one hole, as they call it.
Learning about cloacas as a kid just...
Yeah, it does everything.
Yeah, I don't like it. Anyway, let's go to Texas.
Oh, excuse me.
Because why not? All right. We're going to be talking about the Rio Grande Valley in Texas, and we're going to be talking about the sighting of the big bird.
The sighting of the big bird?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, sightings of a big bird. They call it the big bird, but it's not the big bird that I know as the big bird. It's not my best friend on Sesame Street.
Right.
No, it's not a Muppet. It is just a big old bird. And, you know, people aren't terribly creative when they name cryptids, so they named it the big bird. But anyway, so the first sightings of the big bird happened in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas in the 1970s. And the big bird was described as being about 5 feet tall. It had 2 large red eyes, and those red eyes were set into a, quote, gorilla-like face. Shot in the dark.
Sorry, I was sipping the beer. Okay.
What was the reported wingspan of Big Bird?
Okay.
Was it A, 10 feet? Was it B, 12 feet? Or was it C, 14 feet?
I like the idea of it being 12. Going with 12.
You are correct, sir.
Yay.
It had the wingspan of 12 feet from tip to tip.
All right. Come get this shot.
Big-ass bird.
It is a big-ass bird. But anyway, back to how gross sex is. Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry. Back to how gross all of you are out there, specifically.
Mitchell, knock it off.
Anyway, nobody tells you. That's all I'm saying. Nobody says that's a way to prepare for it. I'm going to need that shot glass back. I'm going to need that back. Yeah, because I got to get ready for the second round.
All right. So, whew.
Good, isn't it?
It's very tasty. Whew.
It'll burn, though.
I was fine until it hit my esophagus. Fuck.
Yeah. That's what she said.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh.
Yeah.
The human body's nasty.
Yeah.
I don't like any of it.
Yeah, it is, and that's why we should stop sharing our bodies with other people.
Gross.
By the way, everyone, I would love to speak with you about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
We're starting a cult. We're going to just vacuum seal ourselves. It's going to be great. Anyway,
have you heard the good news? You no longer have to have gross sex with everyone around you.
You didn't have to do that anyway.
Oh, Leah. Oh.
Asexuality is totally a valid thing. Might look into it. Anyway.
I'm having so much fun.
I know you are. Anyway, so the big bird in Texas, like I said, 12-foot wingspan, 5 feet tall, big old red eyes, and it looks like a gorilla in the face, which is kind of a weird combo of things.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was first sighted on the morning of January the 7th of 1976 by a policeman named Arturo Padilla.
Oh.
And he was a policeman in San Benito, Texas. And he spotted it in the headlights of his cruiser. So it was early in the morning, just before the sun came up. And he was, just cruising, I guess, on his early morning route. I don't know what police officers do, but whatever. Sorry.
I don't know what police officers do.
I don't. And he had...
That's about it.
Just driving in Texas, doing his thing. And all of a sudden, he sees this bird in the sky that gets caught sort of in the headlights. And he's like, holy shit, that's a really, really big bird. Like, concerningly large. That's a big-ass bird. And so a little while later, after the sun had come up, another officer in that same area, his name was Homer Galvan, he also reported seeing a really, really big fucking bird in the area, and he was also concerned with the fact that there was a big-ass bird hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So that night, there was another sighting, but this time it was in Brownsville, Texas, and it was by not a police officer this time, it's just a regular dude. His name was Alverico Guajardo.
You got it.
Y'all, I'm trying.
That was very offensive.
It looks like Guajardo.
Okay.
Guajardo. I'm really bad
Leah,
at
you are doing
pronouncing everything.
So good. I support you.
I'm sorry. I'm trying. Let's call him Al. We can call him Al, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so Al also saw the big old bird, and he said he said that it was a big old winged thing, but he didn't know that it was a bird. He thought it might be just a big old bat. So we're getting some bird sightings. We're getting some bat sightings. Not sure which, but, over the next few weeks, a couple more people start seeing this bird as well. So there's another man named Armando Grimaldo, which is a great name as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good names in this. But he was from Raymondville, Texas, and he reported that he heard a flapping sound, kind of like bat wings. And it also made kind of a weird whistling noise. And he was looking around him. He didn't know what was making that sound. He couldn't figure it out. He was thinking that maybe a bat had gotten stuck, under the eaves of his house or something like that.
Okay.
He was just looking around, and all of a sudden, he felt large talons gripping the back of his shirt, and it sort of ripped the collar piece of his shirt off, and it knocked him to the ground. And he, scrambled to his feet and sort of got to the nearest tree to try to defend himself with a tree. I don't know. Would not have been where I went, but maybe there was nothing around to duck under. But he saw the creature sort of fly away as it, I guess, gave up trying to abduct him. And he described the creature as being a winged animal. It had sort of leathery skin and had that monkey-like face. Sort of a gorilla-ish face with red eyes.
Okay.
And obviously that's scary and creepy and disconcerting.
Yeah.
So the news starts getting out. Like people do anytime there's a cryptid sighting. It caused a bit of a media flap. Local radio stations were playing stories about it. And then, of course, people start making fun of it because that's what people do because... I'm sorry, big ass bird is a little funny.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it got so far that Johnny Carson even made fun of it on the Tonight Show. So it was really widely reported, at the time of the sightings.
Okay.
So obviously, once there's a little bit of steam behind this story, more and more people start seeing it. Whether they actually saw it or just wanted to be a part of it, who knows? Or that they've seen other big birds that were larger than what you would think of as a normal songbird, but maybe it was, an indigenous crane or an owl or something like that,
Right.
The people start looking for birds and they start seeing these birds and, they start reporting sightings of this, quote, big bird. So the television stations start broadcasting a picture of the a track that someone found on the ground that was allegedly a big bird track, and it was 12 inches long, and that if you've never seen birds' feet, is way bigger than a bird's foot.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's terrifying. I don't like it. And so there was a fear that because people were so, and it's Texas, just bear that in mind.
Yeah,
there's
weirdos.
guns. Being that it is Texas, there are a lot of hunters there. There are a lot of people that were looking to shoot and kill this bird. And in fact, a radio station had offered a reward for anybody that could shoot the bird down and bring it in. But unfortunately, there are actually a lot of really rare, protected, large bird species in that part of Florida. Not Florida, I'm sorry, Texas.
Texas.
And
I was going to have to correct you.
Yeah, so they've got whooping cranes and stuff like that, and those are really endangered, protected birds. And so the Texas Wildlife Department was like, y'all, knock that shit out. Yeah. All birds are protected. I don't care what size it is. Little birds, big birds, real big birds. You can't fucking shoot them, all right? So that sort of tamped down the fury to try to go out and shoot this thing. But as the months continued on, obviously some people were hoaxing these sightings. Some people were mistaken as to the identity of these birds that they were finding, and they actually did end up capturing a bird called a jabiru, which is a really large stork. Its wingspan is about 9 feet long, but generally they're only found in sort of Central America, and they're generally not found this far north, but sort of a migratory flight pattern had gotten mixed up with a storm or something like that, and it flew it a lot further north than it normally would be. So they captured that bird, and they did in fact return it to where it was supposed to be. But a lot of people were like, oh, that explains it. That is a really big-ass bird. It's not as big as what they were reporting.
It is one big-ass bird.
But, it's a random big-ass bird that happened to be there in the town. So a lot of people were like, oh, that's all it was. And so the stories about it kind of faded down to almost nothing. And there were also some video footage that people saw of blue herons that were in the area, which are native to Texas.
Right.
And some people were airing photos and video of blue herons as the big bird. So a lot of people were like, yeah, y'all just don't know what birds are. Yeah. But of course some people also think, hey, maybe what they actually saw was a real anomalous animal of some sort. There just happened to also be these other big birds in the region. Just because, we've got these large birds doesn't mean it's the big bird. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Some people still sort of clung on to that hope and that desire for the cryptid to actually be real. So some of the explanations are, some people believe that the big bird was actually a living pterosaur. So the actual first fossils of any of the pterosaurs that they have to date, so the Quetzalcoatlus is the biggest pterosaur that they've uncovered thus far, and they had just first uncovered that species, in the fossil record in 1972, and that happened in Big Bend National Park in Texas. So, several hundreds of thousands of years ago, there was a big-ass bird like that. I mean, it wasn't actually a bird. It was a pterosaur, but you get my point.
Yeah, but
so
then they
were indigenous to that region at some point in time.
Right.
But some people are of the opinion that somehow a pterosaur, or at least a small population of them, have, existed and continue to exist to this day in some kind of remote mountainous regions.
Those people need
not.
to stop having gross sex with each other and
I
stop
don't
breeding.
think it's the sex. I think it's probably the drugs. I don't know.
They need to stop breeding.
But actually there are lots and lots and lots of reported pterosaur type sightings of different creatures all over the world. There's a particular one in Africa that I think is really interesting, but that's a different story for a different day.
Thank
you. These modern day pterosaur theories are out there, and a lot of people do well, I don't say a lot of people, a few people think that is a possibility. Then there's another theory that so it could be a Thunderbird. And
like the car?
Well, actually, what the car was named after.
Yeah.
So several different of the Native American tribes in sort of the plains area have a lot of, and probably I'm not sure exactly which tribes specifically have this as part of their mythology, but there are a few, because I remember seeing a display about it when we were at the Museum of the Native American History in the Smithsonian. Great food, by the way. If you're ever in DC, that museum has good food.
Yeah.
But anyway, a Thunderbird is a mythological bird. And basically, they say it's a bird that's so large that it causes thunder just by flapping its wings, because it's such a big bird. And in some legends and stories, the birds bring rain and that kind of thing. And it's actually, like, there are sightings of Thunderbirds to this day. People believe that it is legitimately a thing. I believe some people think it's more of a spiritual thing, and that it's like a nature spirit as opposed to a real life flesh and blood physical animal. But some people do believe it is a physical actual animal, so it just depends on where you sit on that. But there is the theory that the big bird was actually just, a Thunderbird hanging out there. But to be sure, some people also think it's Mothman. Because anytime there's a winged creature, people are always going to call Mothman. I don't know why, but they do. I don't think it was Mothman, but, big bird.
Those people really need to stop breeding.
Which ones?
The ones who believe that the dinosaurs are still around. This is really bothering me. What?
There are a lot of cryptids that the theory is that there is some type of extant dinosaur.
Go ahead.
Populations. Some people think that that's what Loch Ness Monster is. There's Mokele and Mbembe in Africa. There's a lot of sort of ancient dinosaurs staying to modern day kind of cryptid sightings, and I find those really fun. But yeah, a lot of people, that's something that they thought about Altamaha, which we've covered here before. That some people think it's an extant plesiosaur. Anytime you've got a lake monster, that's going to be one of the theories. It's going to be a Cadborosaurus or something like that. So, it's a thing. It's something that if you read into cryptids at all extensively, just at all. If it's a lake monster, you're going to find a dinosaur truther out there. But, who knows? My guess, honestly, is that it probably was that Jabiru bird, the big ass like Brazilian bird that no one had ever seen before. Yeah, that would be my guess. If you found this, exotic bird that's not normally here flying around, probably your big bird. I don't know, because if you've ever tried to, in the heat of like an attack or a moment of like stress, and tried to say, this was so many feet away or yards away or whatever, your estimations are never going to be correct. They're just not. Even if you're really good at that shit, when you've got that adrenaline pumping, all of the details are going to skew a little bit one way or the other. You know what I mean? You're not ever going to get a 100% correct eyewitness to fucking anything. Yeah. You're just not. And so especially if these people see something that is out of the ordinary and really big, that adrenaline's going to tack on a couple of feet to each side of the wingspan, Yeah. It's just going to happen. You don't know how far away the thing is. You don't know how close it is. You just know it's really fucking big and you pick a number, So I really think that it was probably that exotic crane, but who knows?
Well, I just don't think it was a dinosaur. That's all I'm saying.
You're anti-pterosaur?
I'm anti-dinosaur at this point.
So when I was in... please don't be anti-dinosaur, because I fucking love dinosaurs. But there's
not as a thing,
Yeah.
like as a real thing, but being around right now, yeah.
Yeah. So
Anti.
the Museum of Natural History in New York has a Quetzalcoatlus skeleton that's actually hung up in one of the ceilings in one of their display rooms, and it is fucking huge. Like, that is it is massive. It is a fucking huge thing, and I don't know, I think it's really cool. I love that museum. I went so many fucking times when I was living up there just because I could. That's a great place. Anyway, any museum, I'm stoked on, but
yes,
that one was
museums.
Particularly fun.
Just like, period, you're a museum person.
Yeah, definitely. But I really like that one.
Oh God, excuse me.
Of the museums I've been to, that's one of the better ones.
Okay. Well, all right.
Okay.
I'm done.
That's what Leah feels about dinosaurs. Sorry.
Oh,
That shot hit me a little bit harder than I thought it would.
it's good though, isn't it?
It's very good,
it's
but
so good.
I'm feeling it. So, are you ready to go to our second story of the evening?
I sure am. Hit me with it.
All right. Well, we're going to Wise County, Virginia, and we're going to be talking about the vampire of Big Stone Gap.
Yay, vampires! I like vampires. They're
Vampires. Yeah. So, vampire, serial killer, I don't know. We're getting there. All right?
fun. Probably serial killer, if I had to guess.
Okay. So, Big Stone Gap is it's sort of close to the Tennessee and Kentucky border, sort of in that corner of Virginia where those states meet,
Right.
In there.
Go ahead.
Anyway, I know I'm gesturing and this is audio only and it makes no sense to anybody. I apologize. But yeah, so it didn't used to be called Big Stone Gap. It was originally known as Three Forks. Then it was called Mineral City, and now it's called Big Stone Gap. And it has been called Big Stone Gap since 1888. The area was actually a really big industrial center at that point in the 1890s. They discovered huge deposits of iron and coal, and because of that, there was a lot of steel manufactories put up. Railroads were, built in and out of town so they could, haul in and haul out shit.
Logistics.
Exactly. And so it sort of turned a very mountainous, backwoodsy kind of place into a place where lots of people started showing up to work because A, there was work there now, and B, rich folk like to invest in places that have minerals because it makes them more rich. So, pre this whole 1890s discovery of these minerals, it was pretty backwoodsy, very, Appalachian community situation. And then, these people start coming in and working the coal mines and the steel manufactories and stuff like that. So
You said steel manufactories twice.
Manufacturing places, refineries.
Just say factories.
I don't know what you call it, and I'm trying real hard.
I'm just making sure that you're okay. And a manufactory is not something that I've just never heard of before.
Maybe you should Google it, because I don't know right now. That liquor has got me. Anyway, so you've got to understand that the people that populated this part of the country at that point in time were mainly immigrants from Europe. They were Scots-Irish. They were, that kind of people. A lot of immigrants in from England. And they sort of brought over and sort of, shifted that folklore from Europe and brought it to the mountains, and they still a lot of the same songs and ballads and superstitions and mysterious kind of stuff. All of that stuff generally came from the British Isles kind of area, and it was just transplanted into that area. So the belief in vampires came along with them, and because people didn't really understand particular diseases, a lot of the vampire lore it really does focus around things like tuberculosis outbreaks and any kind of disease where it caused someone to slowly get sicker and sicker and waste away kind of stuff.
Oh.
A lot of that was associated with vampires. Yeah. So anywhere there was, there are several other vampire quote outbreak situations all over New England and stuff like that, the Mercy Brown case and all that. But anyway, it was just a strong belief that vampires were a thing and were causing havoc, and steps could be taken to minimize that particular risk to your community. Actually, I believe a pretty specific to that area belief was that if you committed suicide, it was very likely that you would become a vampire in death. If you committed suicide, if you were a victim of that, a lot of the times their bodies were buried near a crossroads, and they had stakes driven through their hearts, because that's how you kill a vampire. And it would prevent a vampire from,
from coming back.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So
wreaking havoc.
Yeah, wreaking havoc. That's a good thing. They also believe that, witches could become vampires when they died. Drunkards, thieves, anybody that gets excommunicated, all could be vampires. Also foreigners, anybody that wasn't, anybody that was an outsider. There was a lot of, mistrust of the other, I believe, I think is a good way to put that. Xenophobia, specifically in this particular area when it comes to vampire lore. So, that's the kind of situation that we're talking about when I talk about this story. Now, I will also preface this story before I tell it. This is folklore. There is some suggestion, and the oral history is that this happened the way this happened. But generally speaking, there wasn't a lot of printed news in this area at the time. So there's not a lot of actual hard evidence verification. So it's very possible that this is just a campfire story that's been passed down for 100 years. Who knows? So I'm going to present this as folklore only. I can't tell you that it really did or really did not happen, but this is the story that's told in the area of what happened in this place.
I want some answers.
Yeah, so here we go. So the story starts in Big Stone Gap. There's a farmer, and he comes to see, he finds two of his prized cows back in his back pasture dead. Now, there's a lot of coyotes and that kind of thing hanging around, predators, if you will, back in the backwoods up there. And it's not unusual to have a cow or two die because of different natural things.
Right.
But the problem is, when the farmer found this cow, he only found parts of these cows.
Oh, no.
So the attacker left the head, left the back end of the cow, but it was, all the middle parts of the cow was gone, and the cow had no blood left in any of the pieces that were left. Like, it had been completely drained of blood.
Nice.
Which is creepy and uncomfortable, and the farmer was like, real chupacabra-y kind of shit going on,
Yeah.
And so that was disturbing. But, they tried to move past it until a couple more weeks pass, and a few more farmers start losing cows. And the cows always go in the same way. The hindquarters left, the head is left, no blood left whatsoever.
Right.
So eventually people are like, we got to get together and come up with some kind of solution, because this shit's crazy, freaking creepy, probably a vampire. Let's get together and discuss what we could possibly do and who might be the vampire. So, once again, because xenophobia is definitely an issue in this area at this time, they decide that it's probably this creepy old European guy that showed up to work at the coal mine a few weeks ago, because it only started happening when he moved to town, and he's like a creepy old hermit anyway, so we probably think it's him that's been doing all this nonsense, right? So the suspect's name...
the weird old guy. Always.
It's always the creepy dude in the cabin in the woods.
That's what
Just
I'm
is. So he did live in a remote cabin, sort of a little bit removed away from the rest of everybody, and people were very suspicious of him because, once again, he had just moved to town. Mm-hmm. He was European, and, just had a general creepy hermit vibe,
Yeah, sounds about right.
So his name was Mr. Rupp, and, like I said, people were very suspicious of him anyway. So he had kind of become that local boogeyman creepy dude that the kids were like scared of.
Right.
And two local boys had been dared by some of their friends to go like touch his cabin door kind of situation.
Ugh.
You know what I mean? Like,
Leah, don't call it his cabin door.
Not that kind of thing, like his literal physical cabin door. Don't be creepy, Mitchell. So they go up and they like peek through his windows to see what he's doing, to spy on the hermit kind of guy. And they see him eating a hunk of raw meat by the fire. And they're
nice.
like, that's creepy as shit. Maybe we should tell somebody. So the boys come back and they tell their parents, and the parents are like, well, shit, now we know who's been killing all the cows. So they go to the sheriff and they say, look, sheriff, this fucker is eating raw meat by the fireplace. You need to go do something about it. And the sheriff was like, look, if he wants to eat raw meat, he can eat whatever the fuck he wants. I can't arrest him with his weird habit. Like, maybe it's steak tartare. They eat that shit over there.
Sheriff, he's sitting by the fireplace eating raw meat. You need to do something about it. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
That's what they were just like, you've got to fucking take care of this, sheriff. And he was like, dude, it is not illegal to eat raw meat. If he wants... If
by
he
the
wants
fireplace.
the trichinosis or whatever, he can have it. So shot in the dark.
Oh, here we go. Jesus.
So things escalate. A few weeks later, someone disappears from town. Who was it? Was it A, the town drunk? Was it B, the general store owner? Or was it C, the Baptist preacher?
Town drunk, general store owner, or Baptist preacher?
Yes.
I think what would put people in the biggest tizzy is the Baptist preacher. So
you're incorrect. It was the town drunk.
Oh, man. Well, nobody fucking cares.
They cared. So the town drunk goes missing, and people are like, well, where's the fucking town drunk? He should be here being drunk.
Yeah.
He's slacking on his drunk duties.
He should be here being drunk.
Where is our town drunk? Everybody's got to have one. Where'd he go? And so eventually they end up finding his body in the woods, and he's dead. They find it about a quarter of a mile away from Mr. Rupp's cabin.
Jesus.
And he is found missing a couple of limbs. An arm is gone, a leg is gone, and the rest of his body is completely drained of blood, just like the cows.
Oh, you're right about that hitting the esophagus.
Yeah, right? As soon as it hits right between your tits, it just starts burning.
Oh,
It's pretty awful. Anyway, yeah, it's rough. But then another, a peddler, a local, like, kind of door-to-door traveling salesman guy.
I'm sorry. I'm still recovering.
Go ahead.
So they found him in the woods.
Yes.
He was missing limbs.
Missing limbs, missing his blood.
How long again was he out there?
The body?
Yeah, the body.
I'm not sure that that's ever mentioned.
Okay. He went missing. They found him sometime later.
Yes.
All right. So there's nobody. I know this was a simpler time.
Yes.
But nobody believes like some wild animals came along since we're in the woods and ate his limbs.
Well, the blood missing is what people are bothered by, I think.
Yeah, but you also, when you die and start decomposing, you dry up.
Oh, I agree.
As they say.
And all the blood like sinks to the bottom of your body because
Right.
gravity's still a thing.
It pools, but then it basically evaporates like everything else,
More or less. It dries out. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Mitchell, but that's not what we're going for here.
I'm just saying, it's not the guy sitting by the fireplace eating raw meat. If he was sitting by the fireplace drinking a goblet, swirling it, and like he pulls it down and his teeth are just all red and milky, then maybe he's a vampire. But go ahead. I know that there's more. I apologize.
There is. We're going there. All right. So, after Mr. Rupp's body, not Mr. Rupp, the drunk doesn't have a name. Drunky didn't get a name.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah. So after they found him, they're like a little freaked out because he's moved from whatever this thing is, has moved from cows to people, and that's a problem. So eventually they realize that, so there's a like I said before, a peddler, a door-to-door salesman, who works for a company out of southwestern Virginia, and he just sells, stuff that the general store doesn't carry, extra odds and ends, bits and bobs, like they do. And he was coming along and was selling stuff. Anyway, people eventually realized that he didn't check in with his home office when he was supposed to, and they come out looking for him. And after the disappearance, maybe a week later, they end up discovering his body in the woods, completely drained of blood, missing a couple of limbs like the other guy. So they're like, well, shit, we got a problem, y'all. Like this,
we have a serial.
We have some kind
leader.
of vampire fucking crazy bitch up in this business, and we think it's Mr. Rupp.
And he only eats dark meat.
I guess. He's a wings and thighs kind of man,
That's
you know?
what I'm saying.
Yeah. So everybody's really suspicious and is trying to pin this whole situation on this Mr. Rupp guy. So a group of folks from town decide that they're going to form a mob, because what else are you going to do, right? They form this mob and they go to Mr. Rupp's cabin to sort of like bang down the door and ask him if he's killing all these cows and people, right?
Yeah. That's the best thing to do, is just ask.
Yeah, it was just going to be a polite conversation. The pitchforks and the torches were just like,
real quick,
accessories.
Real quick. Are you killing people? And, completely
Be
unrelated,
honest.
but do you eat these people raw by your fireplace?
Because we heard tale.
We heard some things, and we just, we don't want to think things that shouldn't be thought.
Exactly. We just want, it's a nice, polite conversation.
Yeah.
Ignore the pitchforks. It'll be fine.
Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy.
We just want to know the truth.
Just for my own well-being,
Yeah. So the mob obviously shows up to his cabin, and they bust his door down, and he's not anywhere to be found. Can't find him anywhere. So they come into his cabin, and apparently the story is they find blood spatter everywhere in the cabin. Everything is disgusting. There are parts and pieces of arms and legs and the bits and bobs of animals and people and guts, and apparently the entire cabin smells and looks so disgusting that people run out of this thing just vomiting everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, there's some serious therapy necessary after you walk in on that amount of bullshit. Like, it was bad. Everything was covered in blood. It was fucking terrifying, like horror movie to the extreme. People are scarred for life from this bullshit.
Yeah.
So, after they make this discovery, people are like, well, we still got to find this old fucker because he's going to go somewhere else and kill these people.
Yeah.
So, they send out search parties, and they're looking for this dude, and they go to all the towns around, but they can't find him, and he was never found. And people presume that he either moved on and, picked a different name and started killing people elsewhere, or he died out in the woods.
He died out in the woods.
But people also, because this is folklore and people like to be spooky with it, people also say that he's a vampire and he lives forever, and he's still just out haunting that kind of area of the woods, and he just likes to kill people when he can, have a nice snack occasionally.
And nobody knows exactly where his cabin is.
No, there's a spot. There's an area.
Oh, okay.
So this whole area of the woods that people say it happened in. But yeah, so it, like I said, no one ever really was pinned on that murder. And once again, there's no specific proof that this was anything other than a tale that got told 100 years ago and people really like it and ran with it.
Right.
Most people believe that there is a bit of actual history somewhere buried in this, but that it has been highly conflated over the years, I don't know if those were the right words in the right order, but
That's close. Yeah, you did good.
exaggerated maybe was the right word. But yeah, for the most part, a lot of people believe that there probably was a serial murderer of some sort living in the area. Whether all of the blood draining, blood drinking vampire nonsense was part of it, who knows?
Yeah.
But
I
it
sure
is
don't.
highly possible that there was, in fact, a serial murderer in that area at that time, just based on, the oral history of the area. So that is the vampire of Big Stone Gap. Sorry, I knew there was a gap and I knew it was big, but I didn't know what it was made out of.
There's something here.
Big Stone Gap.
Correct. You're doing great.
That's it.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed it, Leah. That was a fun story.
I thought so too.
Fun's relative, but I'm just saying.
As fun as you can have with a serial cannibalistic murderer,
Yeah, but the fact that they wanted the sheriff to do something because the guy was eating meat by the fire.
Look.
Leah, I can't get over how funny that was.
This is a God-fearing Baptist community, and if you don't eat your steak well done, we don't want none of you.
Oh, my God. The amount of people around here who were like, I don't want my meat raw. And you're like, you son of a fucking bitch.
You're ruining that.
You are such a moron.
Oh. Look, if the cow had to sacrifice its life, the least you can fucking do is cook it properly, you bastard.
I hate it so much, Leah. That and the burgers are dry as fuck. Everything is wrong around here. Everything.
Look, the dry as fuck is just because my grandmother doesn't understand that you've got to have a little bit of fat in the meat.
Where the dry burgers were. You brought that up.
Yeah, it's my grandmother. She likes to grind she grinds like roast to make hamburger meat. She grinds her own hamburger meat, but she does it's like 90% lean. And if you make a hamburger out of 90% lean beef, it's going to taste like ass because the fat's what tastes good.
It's going to taste like cardboard.
It's awful. Never accept a hamburger from my grandmother.
Yeah. It's like the same people that talk about trimming the fat off a steak. Like, that pisses me off. The fat is
she does that too.
The most flavorful part of a steak.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably, quote unquote, shouldn't be eating it.
But if you're going to be eating something like steak in the first place,
though.
It's not an everyday meal. It's not something that you should do all the time. But if you're going to indulge in something like that, fucking do it right, or you've just ruined everything.
Yeah.
I'm annoyed, and
sous
vide is what you should be doing anyway.
That's like the one thing that your grandmother makes, and I'm like, no, I don't want it. No. Anything hamburger-esque. Because she'll also do, like, Salisbury steak and stuff. And that's fine if you put a shitload of gravy on it.
It's dry as an asshole. It is. It's awful. Every time.
How dry is your asshole, Leah?
How wet is yours?
We both need to see a doctor. Separately. And be like, we have asshole problems.
It tastes like assholes and elbows is what my dad has said many times before because it's just dry as shit.
She can't do hamburger meat.
No, because she doesn't want any fat in it because she's worried about heart health, which I get, I understand. But once again, come on.
Yeah. Well, she also fries everything, so...
She fries it in Crisco, and that's not the same thing as oil or lard. Look, she has problems. It's fine.
Worried about health. Like, stop frying everything. Stop making 19 waffles on Saturday mornings.
She freezes those. They aren't eating 19 at a time. They don't subsist on waffles.
She just makes so much waffle batter that she's like, gotta make it.
No, you freeze it so you don't have to keep bringing out the waffle iron.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's enough.
Anyway, if any of y'all ever go to Leah's grandparents' house,
please don't.
Just make sure that
they
she's
will
making,
not welcome you.
Yeah, make sure she's making like fried chicken or something. Anything hamburger meat.
Everything else, she's a fantastic cook, but because she makes her own
beef. Like I'm realizing
it's just
now
the beef,
that she just can't cook beef. Like period.
Her roasts and stuff. If you've never had a pot roast that she's made, all that stuff's great. It's just the beef, like the ground beef, because she makes it herself and she won't put fat in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have complaints. Y'all, we need to move on from this shit.
No. Continue.
No.
Let's get some more.
That's how Leah feels about fat percentages in ground beef.
I want to talk real quick about how much it comes up every time now. One time on a throwaway comment said that they don't make their coffee strong enough. It's just brown water.
It actually really is just brown water. I could drink their coffee black, and I don't drink anything black.
So I said that one time, and then now every time we're over there, they're like, I'd make you some coffee, but I know it's not what you'd want me to do, or something along those lines. Like, our coffee's not good enough, or something. And I'm like, God damn, are y'all going to get over that?
They're not.
But like,
they're just not. It's just going to have to wait for them to go.
They could just put in a drop of brown food coloring into water, and it would be the exact same thing.
It is. It's not good, but whatever.
Oh, well. Anyway, if you ever go to Lee's grandparents' house,
once again, please don't
eat the beef. Don't drink the coffee. Bring your own beef and coffee. That's what you should do. Let's open a restaurant. Bring all of your stuff here. We'll just cook it for you. Kind of like those restaurants that do that. You know, like they have the raw bar out. Which, okay, now that COVID restrictions are a thing, those better not ever come back. The raw bar places where it's a buffet but everything's raw.
I'm super uncomfortable with that idea now, too. Because, like, I think Genghis Grill is the one that we had in Montgomery like that. And I loved it because it was right across from where I worked when I first started living there. And I was like, oh, this place is great. And now just thinking back, like... Probably bad idea. Buffets of all sorts make me uncomfortable just thinking about it now.
There was one in Birmingham that we loved to go to because I had fraternity brothers that worked there. It was called Fire and Ice. And it's not around anymore. But it was awesome because on Mondays, if you had a college ID, you could eat for $10. Those places are always all you can eat, but they're normally like $18 or something. And if you had a college ID, $10. And we would go on Mondays and get really drunk and eat a lot of food for $10.
No wonder they're not in business anymore.
The alcohol we had to pay for too. But like, you know, they had those big shareable bowls. They had a couple of
Fish
those.
Bowls.
And we had a few of those every time that we went. But like a group of us would go. And anyway, just looking back on it now, good fucking God. Like the only buffet style thing there should be, period, are cafeteria style. Where they hand you the stuff from behind the bar that you want, and you're not reaching over and, you know, breathing on everything all the time. Anyway, that's all that I have to say about it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I just don't want to go to a buffet ever again, and I used to love buffets. But I never want to eat at a buffet again, where I have to get my food. You know what I mean?
Fine, we don't have to. I was never a fan in the first place.
I know you don't like buffets anyway, but anyway. That's all that I have to say, Leah.
Yeah. Cool.
That's everything. I'm done.
All right. Well, are you ready to move on to a Toasty McToasterson?
That means yes. Excuse me.
Everybody hoist your can of beer high into the sky.
Okay.
We're going to be toasting right now. All right. Out in the skies of Texas, there flies a big old bird. Just stay alert and be aware of big old Birdie Turds.
Leah. Oh my God. All right. Stanza 2, please. Before you go into that, I was sitting next to Leah on the couch earlier while she was writing that. And she starts laughing like that. And I go, what? And she goes, just my toast. It's so awful. I was like, okay, well, don't say anything and don't let me see it, obviously, but come on. Like, you're better than that. And no, she's not. Nope, I was wrong.
I was going to say bird is the word somehow, but I couldn't get it fit.
No, Birdie Turds
Turds
great.
Is funny.
Old Birdie Turds.
Yeah.
Stanza 2, please. You have to pull it together.
I'm sorry.
Get stanza 2 done.
I'm good. Whew, okay. Was he a cannibal or vampire, or maybe even neither? Maybe he had painful fangs and just needed a teether.
No. Go back to Birdie Turds. Do that one again.
Out in the skies of Texas, there flies a big old bird. Just stay alert and be aware of big old Birdie Turds.
Drink. There we go. Yeah. See, this is one of those where you realize the brilliance of the first stanza and you just flip them and you say, okay, we're not going to do the first story first this time. That's all you got to do. Right?
I just want to, I think I want my official toast of, anytime I'm drunk somewhere and want to give a toast, just to be big old Birdie Turds. And everybody's like, yeah, Birdie Turds, and we drink. That's going to be my signature from now on.
Well, I mean, we still haven't set up a goddamn store. But this is the opportune time to let's get a T-shirt and just have a picture of Big Bird on it.
You
it says, "Beware of
Big
Birdie
Bird.
Turds." Yeah, you color it differently so that it's not copyrighted.
I was gonna say, just
Make it
coloring
green
it
Big
anyway. Big Bird is a copyrighted image, and I would never infringe on Sesame Workshop because they will come for you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, this is just the perfect thing to put on a T-shirt. And look at us here.
Big old Birdie Turds.
Yeah.
Drink.
Yeah, you go ahead. You're just gonna drink anyway.
Yeah, that's all I got. But if anybody else wants to give a toast to big old Birdie Turds, go ahead.
No, you don't get to.
I highly recommend you writing your own toasts and posting them in our community chat page because I would enjoy that.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of, I don't know, it just made me think about it. Leah has started a TikTok for the show.
Yes.
If y'all didn't know about it, she's doing basically most of the stories that we've done here have already been covered. But not most of. Some of the stories that we've done.
I was going to say, I've got like 9 videos up and we have 145 episodes plus extra shit.
Some of the stories that have been covered on the show are done, but she just does them real quick, like in a minute or so.
It is literally a minute because that's as far as you go. But some of them are broken up into multiple parts. But I also have been doing things that aren't from the South. So I've done one from Alaska, etc., Illinois. So I'm branching out from just the South. So if you're interested in that, come over to TikTok. Give us a follow, a couple of hearts or whatever. I don't know what it's called on TikTok, but follow us. It's fun, and I enjoy doing it. So yeah.
Well, we've discussed me getting on there and just doing silly stuff while she does the stories, and it always comes back to, maybe don't do that. maybe I shouldn't, and then Leah's like, yeah, maybe, let's not. So anyway, I'll figure out a way to get involved, but that's pretty much it. That's all that I got.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time over there. So if you want to follow us, I feel incredibly old trying to TikTok because I don't understand all of the stuff that's going on over there. But I have figured out a little bit of the slang. I know what an accountant means, so we're not going to make that mistake. And TikTok, it's pretty fun. You should come join us there. There are some hilarious animal videos on there, and I'm a fan.
Yeah, there are some good ones out there. I'm still just not quite into TikTok personally.
We're gonna get him there. It'll be fun.
I think I'm too old for it.
Like,
I enjoy some of it, but I guess it's like everything else. You have to wade through the garbage and stuff. But good God, there's a lot of it.
Yeah, I thought it was awful and cringy. And then my friend Aaliyah wouldn't stop sending me the videos and was like, okay, look, this is really fucking funny. And lesbian TikTok is like the best. And my friend Aaliyah is a lesbian, so that's why she's been sending me lesbian TikTok videos. Anyway, long story short, TikTok's really funny and I really enjoy a lot of the content. So if you're on there, come join us. It's fun.
Yeah. Leah's done a whole lot of fun videos so far, but I just don't understand TikTok. That's really all I'm saying.
But you could.
Yeah, I'm not saying I couldn't, but like I don't know that I want to invest the time to learn about TikTok.
You should.
I don't know that I have it in me at almost 34 years old to be like, yeah, I should get into TikTok.
You're 34. You're not 134. Calm down.
I will be 34 at the end of the year. 33 and almost a half at this point. But
whatever.
I'm just saying, I don't know that I could. I don't know how I would feel about myself if I like master TikTok.
We could make a lot of money if you mastered TikTok.
No. I don't mean
TikTok.
like. I don't mean master it in the fact that like I'm now influential on TikTok. I mean master it as in I know how everything works.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
I don't think that I'm gonna be like, oh, I know how I'm going to go tell other people how TikTok works now. And they're going to be like, how old are you? What are you doing again? Again, I enjoy watching some of the things. I just don't fully understand. It's brand new to me, though. Never been on TikTok before, so I'm going to do some silly stuff at some point, I'm sure.
It'll be fun.
You think so? Mm-hmm. You think it'll be fun if I'm silly on TikTok?
Yeah.
Yeah, well. I guess only time will tell, y'all. Leah, are you watching TikTok right now
No,
instead of...
I'm really not. It's Facebook, but I thought about it, but my TikTok's loud because that's the one problem that I have with TikTok is when you open the app, it immediately starts playing videos, and I'm bad about not having my volume down, so...
Yeah, they need to fix that feed a little bit. Because it just immediately pops up a video. And it's like, so I'm brand new to it, right? And we were talking about this earlier. It thinks, because it links with your other accounts, that it has to show you certain things in your demographic. It's like the first thing I saw was a thick woman walking in a thong down the street. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Look, she was hot. I get it, but yeah, I understand where you would be
uncomfortable. But it's like, that immediately pops on my phone, though. And I was like, okay, so I'm a guy in the South. I guess I like chubby women in thongs walking down the street.
But do you not, though?
No, I not when I open the app and anyone could be like, let me show you this cool thing on TikTok, and it's not the thong lady. Okay, hold on. I don't even follow her. I don't even know, like, I didn't even follow anyone at the time.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is this? I have Reddit for porn. I'm fine. I got this. TikTok. You chill. I got it. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening.
I don't think anybody made it this far.
Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Uh-oh, I gotta add another one in there. I just realized I have to do that. Join the community chat on Facebook. Send us an email, southernspiritspodcast@gmail.com. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/southernspiritspodcast. Give us some more beer money, please. We will always enjoy it and put it towards liquor and fun beers like this Neon Moon here. Send us a postcard or anything else fun to P.O. Box 1743 in Hartselle, Alabama 35640. And I think that's everything, Leah. Is there something I forgot?
Lord, I hope not.
Yeah, me too. This has gone on a while
this
time. Okay, well, we will see y'all next time.
Bye, y'all.